I am 78 years old, and there is something I wish someone had told me when I was young. For most of my life, I believed that being a woman meant being agreeable. It meant putting everyone else first. My husband, my children, my parents, my workplace. I thought love was proven through sacrifice. I thought strength meant endurance. I was wrong. I spent decades trying to live up to every role perfectly: the devoted wife, the reliable mother, the dependable daughter, the tireless employee. I rarely complained. I rarely refused. And over time, I became very good at disappearing. What did that give me? A constant wariness I couldn't explain. A quiet resentment I felt guilty for having. And a life that looked respectable on the outside, but never fully felt like my own. Everything changed when my husband passed away. After more than 40 years together, I suddenly found myself alone, truly alone, for the first time in my adult life. And what frightened me wasn't only the grief. It was the realization that I didn't know who I was without someone else needing me. For as long as I could remember, my identity had been built around being useful. I was always someone's support, someone's backup, someone's solution. When all of that disappeared, I was left with a question I couldn't answer. Who am I when no one is asking anything from me? When I was young, choices for women were limited, or at least, that's what we were taught to believe. I married early. It was expected. Stability mattered more than curiosity. Duty mattered more than desire. I wasn't miserable. Let me be clear about that. I loved my children. I shared good years with my husband. There was laughter, comfort, routine. But there was also a quiet voice inside me that kept asking, is this the whole story? And for a very long time, I ignored it. I postponed my dreams politely. I delayed them responsibly. I buried them convincingly. Whenever I wanted something for myself, education, creativity, exploration, there was always a practical reason to wait. Someone else needed me more. Something else came first. So I waited. And I kept waiting. Until one day, there was no one left to wait for. What women of my generation were rarely told is this: self-sacrifice is praised, but it comes at a cost. When your entire worth is measured by how much you give, you eventually run out of yourself. After my husband died, I looked at my reflection and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked exhausted. She looked older than her years. And she looked like she had lived a life on pause. Grief stripped everything away, and in that emptiness, I found a painful truth. I had been slowly erasing myself for decades. Then, one day, I came across something he had written years ago. A note from our early days. He described me as curious, thoughtful, full of ideas. He believed in things I might become. I cried, not only because I missed him, but because I had abandoned that woman he saw. That was the moment I decided something radical. I would stop waiting. At 72, I enrolled in classes. I studied subjects I had loved quietly for years. I traveled, not far at first, but freely. I learned to sit with myself without guilt. And perhaps hardest of all, I learned to say no. No without explanation. No without apology. No without fear that the world would fall apart. It didn't. People adjusted. Life continued, and I felt lighter than I had in decades. Today, I finally know who I am, not by my roles but by my interests, my values, my joy. I enjoy my own company. I choose how I spend my time. I take up space without asking permission. But here is the truth that still breaks my heart. I waited far too long. I spent years believing there would be a right time, after the children grew up, after responsibilities eased, after life slowed down. It never did. There is always another reason to postpone yourself. So hear me when I say this. Wanting more does not make you selfish. Setting boundaries does not make you unkind. Choosing yourself does not mean abandoning others. In fact, when you honor your own life, you show up with more honesty and less resentment. Your life is not a rehearsal. There is no later version promised. If something matters to you, start now. If a relationship makes you feel small, question it. If a dream keeps returning, listen to it. Don't wait for permission. It will never come. I am 78 years old, and I have been living fully for only a handful of years. They have been the best years of my life. You still have time, but only if you stop putting yourself last. Your life is happening right now. Choose it. And when I say choose it, I don't mean recklessly. I don't mean abandoning love, family, or responsibility. I mean choosing honesty over obligation. I mean choosing growth over fear. I mean choosing yourself often enough that you don't disappear. You don't need to justify your dreams. You don't need to explain why something matters to you. You don't need permission to change your mind, your path, or your pace. Life will always ask things of you. People will always need you. But if you give everything away, there will be nothing left of you to give. I learned that too late, but you don't have to. Take the class. Make the move. Speak the truth you've been swallowing. Rest when you're tired. Say no when your body says no. Say yes when your heart finally feels alive. And don't let guilt talk you out of your own life. One day, you will look back, not as a young woman, not as a busy woman, but as an older one. And in that moment, the only thing that will matter is this. Did you live honestly? Did you listen to yourself? Did you allow yourself to become who you were meant to be? I am 78 years old. I cannot change my past. But I can tell you this with certainty. The bravest thing I ever did was stop shrinking. So don't wait. Don't delay. Don't disappear. Take up space. Your life is yours. And it is happening now. And when I say choose it, I don't mean choosing perfection. I don't mean getting everything right from now on. I mean choosing awareness, choosing to notice when you are shrinking, when you are silencing yourself, when you are living on autopilot. Because shrinking doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like staying quiet to keep the peace. Sometimes it looks like saying, "It's fine," when it isn't. Sometimes it looks like postponing joy because someone else's needs feel louder than your own. We convince ourselves it's temporary. Just this season. Just this responsibility. Just this sacrifice. And then years pass. No one warns you how quietly time moves when you are busy being everything for everyone else. One day blends into the next, and suddenly the life you imagined feels distant, like a story you once meant to tell but never did. I used to believe there would be a moment when everything settled, when the noise stopped, when the demands eased, when I would finally have permission to focus on myself. But life does not work that way. There is always another crisis, another obligation, another reason to wait. Waiting becomes a habit, and habits shape lives. I am not telling you to stop caring. I am telling you to stop disappearing. You can love deeply without abandoning yourself. You can be generous without being depleted. You can be kind without being invisible. The world will not always understand your boundaries. Some people will resist them. Some will be disappointed. Some may even accuse you of changing. Let them. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to grow out of roles that no longer fit. You are allowed to want different things than you wanted 10 years ago. There is no age limit on becoming yourself. I believed that doors closed with time, that after a certain age, curiosity was impractical, learning was unnecessary, dreams were indulgent. I was wrong. The only thing that truly closes doors is fear. Fear of judgment, fear of disruption, fear of choosing yourself. And fear is a terrible architect for a life. When I finally began listening to myself, nothing extraordinary happened overnight. There was no dramatic transformation. What happened instead was quieter and far more meaningful. I woke up interested again. I felt curious. I felt present. I stopped living as if my life were something to be managed and started living as if it were something to be experienced. That is what I want for you. Not a flawless life. Not a life free of responsibility. But a life that feels honest when you lie awake at night. Ask yourself simple questions and answer them truthfully. What brings me alive? What drains me? What am I holding on to out of habit rather than love? Who am I when no one is asking anything from me? These questions are not selfish. They are necessary. Because one day, you will be older than you are now. And you will not measure your life by how accommodating you were, or how often you said yes, or how many times you put yourself last. You will measure it by whether you felt like yourself. I am 78 years old. I cannot reclaim the years I spent waiting. But I can give you this truth. Earn slowly and dearly. Your life does not begin after everyone else is taken care of. Your life is not something you earn through sacrifice. Your life is not a reward for good behavior. It is happening right now. So speak sooner, choose sooner, live sooner, take up space, not aggressively, not apologetically, but fully. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself want. Let yourself begin. Time does not pause, and neither should you. And if that feels overwhelming, let me tell you something gentle but important. You do not have to change everything at once. Living for yourself does not begin with a dramatic declaration. It begins quietly. It begins the first time you listen to the small discomfort you used to ignore. It begins the first time you honor your exhaustion instead of pushing past it. It begins the first time you admit, even only to yourself, that something in your life no longer fits. That is how change really happens, not in grand gestures, but in honest moments. I used to believe that my needs were less important because they were less urgent. Someone else was always louder, always struggling more, always depending on me. And so I learned to minimize myself. I learned to tell myself I could wait. I learned to survive on someday. But someday is a dangerous word. Someday is where dreams go to sleep. Someday is where years disappear. I wish I had understood earlier that my desires were not inconveniences. They were signals. They were trying to guide me toward a fuller life, not pull me away from the people I loved. Ignoring yourself does not make you noble. It makes you numb. And numbness is quiet, which is why it lasts so long before you notice it. I want you to know this too: choosing yourself will not always feel good at first. It may feel uncomfortable, awkward, even selfish. You may feel guilty for wanting more than what you were given, or more than what others expect of you. That guilt is not a sign you are wrong. It is a sign you are unlearning something. When you change, some people will not recognize you anymore. They were comfortable with the version of you that always adjusted, always accommodated, always absorbed the weight. But that version of you came at a cost. You do not owe anyone your disappearance. I spent years believing that love meant endurance, staying, tolerating, carrying. But love is not meant to be a test of how much of yourself you can erase. Love should leave you expanded, not diminished. And yes, there will still be responsibilities. There will still be people you care for. Living for yourself does not mean walking away from everything. It means walking toward yourself while you move through it. It means asking, again and again, is this choice aligned with who I am becoming? Or is it only who I've always been expected to be? Those questions will change you. I am standing here now, at 78, knowing that I cannot go back. I cannot give my younger self the courage she needed. But I can give it to you. Do not underestimate how quickly life moves. One day you will be looking back, not at the things you didn't finish, but at the chances you didn't take. And in that moment, you will not wish you had pleased more people. You will wish you had listened to yourself sooner. So start small, if that's all you can do. But start. Speak one honest sentence. Claim 1 hour for yourself. Say one no you have been rehearsing in your head for years. That is how you reclaim a life. You are allowed to be more than useful. You are allowed to be more than accommodating. You are allowed to be more than what you give. You are allowed to be whole. And I hope, truly, deeply hope, that you do not wait as long as I did to realize that. Your life is still unfolding. Your story is still being written. Make sure you are the one holding the pen, because if you are not the one holding the pen, someone else always will. And they will write a life that suits their needs, their comfort, their expectations, not yours. I know this because I lived that way for a very long time. I let other people's priorities quietly replace my own. I let practicality silence curiosity. I let duty crowd out joy. None of it happened suddenly. It happened politely. It happened reasonably. It happened in ways that were easy to justify and hard to notice. That is how a life slips by. You tell yourself you are being patient. You tell yourself you are being responsible. You tell yourself you are being loving. And you are, but you are also postponing yourself. There is a moment, usually late in life, when distractions fall away, roles loosen, the noise softens. And when that moment comes, you are left alone with the question you avoided for years. Did I live the life that was true to me? That question does not care how busy you were. It does not care how much you sacrificed. It does not care how many people you pleased. It only cares whether you were present in your own life. I wish I could tell you there is a perfect balance, a formula where everyone is satisfied and you never disappoint anyone. There isn't. Living honestly will sometimes mean letting others be uncomfortable. It will mean choosing yourself when it would be easier to disappear into habit. But discomfort passes. Regret lingers. I have learned that regret is not loud at first. It whispers. It shows up as restlessness, as bitterness you can't quite explain, as sadness that doesn't seem to have a clear cause. And by the time you recognize it for what it is, years may have already gone by. That is why I am speaking to you now. Not to frighten you, not to rush you, but to wake you. You do not need to earn the right to want a meaningful life. You do not need to prove your worth through exhaustion. You do not need to shrink to be loved. Take your dreams seriously, even the quiet ones. Especially the quiet ones. They are often the truest. Make space for joy before it becomes a memory. Make room for yourself before there is nothing left to give. I am 78 years old, and I am finally at peace with who I am. I have learned to listen to myself. I have learned to honor my time. I have learned that my life belongs to me. But I learned it late. You are still early. So don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait for approval. Don't wait until you feel brave enough. Begin imperfectly. Begin uncertainly, but begin. Because one day, many years from now, you will look back on this moment, and I hope you will be able to say, with quiet confidence, this is when I chose myself. This is when my life truly began. And when that day comes, when you look back, you will not remember every task you completed or every expectation you met. You will remember how it felt to finally breathe freely. You will remember the moments when you stopped asking, "What should I do?" and started asking, "What do I want?" That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. I used to think wanting was dangerous. Wanting led to disappointment. Wanting led to conflict. Wanting led to being judged. So I learned to dull my wants until they were barely whispers. I became so skilled at ignoring myself that I mistook it for maturity. It wasn't maturity. It was fear. Fear of being difficult. Fear of being alone. Fear of stepping outside the life that was already built for me. But here is what I know now: fear is not protect your life. It limits it. There will always be reasons not to begin. You will never run out of them. There will always be bills, expectations, responsibilities, and voices telling you to be practical, to be patient, to be grateful for what you already have. Gratitude is important. But gratitude should not become a cage. You can appreciate what you have and still want more. You can honor your past and still choose a different future. You can love people deeply and still refuse to abandon yourself. I spent too many years believing those things were opposites. When I finally allowed myself to live differently, I realized something surprising: the world did not collapse. The people who loved me adapted. And the ones who couldn't, they were more attached to the role I played than to who I truly was. That was painful to see, but it was freeing too. Because the moment you stop living for approval, you start living with clarity. Clarity brings courage. Courage brings choice, and choice brings life back into your days. I began noticing small joys I had rushed past for years. A quiet morning. A book that stirred something inside me. A walk taken slowly, with nowhere to be. These things may sound ordinary, but when you have spent a lifetime rushing, they feel extraordinary. Life is not meant to be endured until it's over. It is meant to be lived while it's happening. I don't want you to hear my story as a warning filled with regret. I want you to hear it as proof. Proof that it is never too late, but also proof that waiting has a cost. Time is not cruel, but it is honest. It keeps moving whether you are awake to your life or not. So please, wake up to it. Choose yourself not once but repeatedly. Choose yourself on ordinary days, not just in moments of crisis. Choose yourself when it's uncomfortable. Choose yourself when your voice shakes. Choose yourself even when you're not completely sure what that means yet. You will figure it out as you go. I promise. A meaningful life is not built all at once. It is built choice by choice, boundary by boundary, truth by truth. And one day, far in the future, when you are older and quieter and reflecting on the life you lived, I hope you smile, not because it was perfect, but because it was yours. That is all any of us can ask for. So go now, live honestly, take up space, and don't wait. And if you ever feel unsure, if you ever feel afraid that choosing yourself will cost you too much, remember this: not choosing yourself costs more. It costs you your voice, little by little. It costs you your energy, quietly. It costs you your sense of wonder, slowly but surely. I know, because I paid that price for many years without realizing it. We are taught to believe that being strong means enduring. That being loving means giving endlessly. That being good means being agreeable. But real strength is knowing when to stop. Real love includes yourself, and goodness has nothing to do with how small you can make yourself to keep others comfortable. You were not put on this earth to be endlessly useful. You were not born to live on the margins of your own life. You were not meant to be remembered only for what you did for others. You were meant to experience, to question, to grow, to become. There will be moments when you stumble. Moments when you choose wrong, when fear wins, when you slip back into old patterns. That doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're human. Be gentle with yourself when that happens. Growth is not a straight line, it's a return, again and again, to what matters. And what matters is this: you are here. This breath, this day, this moment. No one else can live it for you. I spent most of my life believing my time would come later. Later is a promise that life never makes. All we are ever given is now, and now is always asking something simple and brave of us: to be present. So speak your truth while your voice is strong. Follow your curiosity while it still pulls at you. Honor your limits before your body forces you to. Do not wait until loss teaches you what you could have chosen sooner. If my life has taught me anything worth passing on, it is this: the moment you stop living for approval, you start living with meaning. The moment you stop apologizing for who you are, you begin to feel whole. I am 78 years old. I have loved and lost and learned. I have waited too long and started too late, and still, life met me when I finally showed up. It will meet you too. But don't make it wait. Choose yourself now. Choose honesty. Choose courage. Choose a life that feels like yours when you are alone with your thoughts at night. Because one day, when the world grows quiet and the roles fall away, the only thing that will matter is this: did you live as yourself? I hope your answer is yes.